Starting first with Georgia Tech, and see him right there. David, what do you see from this starting lineup?
Yeah, it's the two-headed outside hitter attack in Bertolino and Otene. Both had 60 swings apiece yesterday. Are really going to need to get going against this Badger block. That's how they get everything going. It's not in the back row. It's really with those two on the outsides up front.
And from the Badgers, David?
I mean, it all comes down to the service line in this one. I think Tennessee gave away a lot of points yesterday in their match and kind of kept Georgia Tech hanging in some of those sets. Charlie Furbringer, Guce Gushkin coming back, Sarah Franken, Yulia Orjol. Those four really behind the service line can go on some big runs and have seen it so far this year.
Wisconsin won in sweep fashion over Fairfield yesterday. Georgia Tech needed 5 sets to take down Tennessee in what might have been already the most fun game of the tournament.
I think it was one of my, if not my favorite match of the entire year. I mean, 5-setter where the third set you get both teams over 30 points apiece. It was a pleasure to watch. I'm really excited to see these two teams compete today.
Georgia Tech will serve first. Luana Miliano will get first crack. Off the bat, Booth, a punishing blow, and the Badgers take an early lead.
It's a good start from Wisconsin. Lola Schumacher able to receive that, get Wisconsin in system, and then an early set to the middle. It's exactly what Badger fans want to see, that connection between Furbringer and Booth finally coming along.
From the far side, that one a temporary souvenir and a kill for Logan Wiley.
Yeah, Logan Wiley, the freshman, all-ACC freshman team, run an early slide for her, get those middles going for the Yellow Jackets.
Bertolino, the senior, puts it away. Fearbringer setting up Franklin back row, and a nice save. Now Smrek puts it over.
Yeah, Sarah Franklin, one of the best in the country from the back row. This Wisconsin attack just has so many options that when the C's kind of part in the back row for Franklin, it's really hard to block her one-on-one.
Been a lot of flexibility at that libero position for the Badgers this year. Now to Lola Schumacher. And that one will hit the hardwood.
Yeah, it's a little miscommunication on the back line between Furbringer and Franklin, but a very, very nice spot by Mogridge.
Logan Wiley claimed a kill to get this game going. Now at the service line.
The service errors were also a little bit of a problem for Georgia Tech yesterday. Had 10 as a team. This is not a Wisconsin team you can give away points at the service line, especially with some of the passing problems that they've had over the last couple of years. You want to make sure you're getting serves in and kind of give them a chance to make their own mistakes.
Now Gulje Guchtekin has dealt with some injuries this year. Badgers have needed her sorely, her defensive ability and her serving ability at that as well. Back over, big hit, kept alive. Georgia Tech a chance, gets the Badgers out of system. Big swing and big finish.
We get the first kill from Tamara Otene there. I mean, not much you can do. The block late, Furbringer in the front row, and you get ball, you know, get a swing out of your best playmaker against an undersized setter on the right side, and you'll take that any day if you're Georgia Tech.
3 3/4 kill per set for the senior. And once again, Wisconsin caught out a system. Otene can't cash in. Now it's Orzel. Awkward set, pushed in, but behind the pole, that's a point for the Badgers.
Yeah, neither team really in system that point. I mean, a tough pass from Schumacher to start it off, but Georgia Tech can't capitalize on a free ball, and then a little bit of, it's kind of some awkward play. Both teams trying to feel out this first set.
And Dave, we talked about how thrilling that match was against Tennessee yesterday. Do you think that playing so long and then playing the next day has an impact on Georgia Tech?
It can go one of two ways. It depends on how ready your team is. They've played 5 straight 5-set matches, Vince, so maybe some tired legs, and it looks like we got a net violation here on Wisconsin. It's the call on the floor.
Badgers immediately disagree, but it's rare to see them not disagree with a call.
Well, Kelly
Any
Sheffield
team
would challenge that if he actually thought went the other way, got the explanation, and feels okay about it.
Tied at 4. Devin Robinson changes that.
Hey, a beautiful little roll shot on the slide. Robinson's been the one consistent option on the slide this year. The Badgers tried to go to Booth and Crawford a couple of times on that slide, but Devin Robinson has just been terminal on that all year long, and a really pretty roll shot into the back roll.
That'll be the redshirt freshman for the Badgers, Sabe Damrow, to serve this one over. Another awkward tap over, and Wisconsin earns their first block.
Yeah, so Arias, not a great set on that one. Kind of caused an awkward little left-handed tap. Certainly not something you want to see if you're Georgia Tech. You need to get not great serve into system and get a good swing out of it.
Wisconsin first in the nation in blocks percent. Davis also felt like that they're still not quite at that level that they'd like to be.
No, it's a little bit of an adjustment with going back to the 5-1, getting your block in order, but it's certainly developed as the year's gone along.
Franklin, oh, excellent save. Now attack from the back row and towing the line.
Give Sophia Velez a ton of credit on that. Not many people can get in front of a Sarah Franklin swing without a block touch and keep it up. A beautiful dig from the libero, and she'll get her chance behind the service line now.
Velez transferred from Trinity Valley Community College, averaged over 5.5 digs per game her last year there. Brilliant defensive player, gonna need her tonight. Franklin able to blow it by her.
That one just the perfect recipe for Wisconsin. Schumacher gets it in system. Furbringer knows exactly where she's going. Franklin one-on-one. Something Georgia Tech really can't afford to do. It's hard when you're in, Wisconsin's in system to avoid those one-on-one blocks, but you're going to need to send a double or maybe even triple blocks at Franklin throughout this match.
Furbringer first time to the service line. A lot of aces, also a lot of errors. Furbringer will set up Franklin. Big swing at another point.
It's a good job by Sarah Franklin, just tooling the block there. Not a great bump set from Charlie Furbringer, but I mean, that's the back-to-back Big Ten Player of the Year, just making a great play.
And that's kind of Sarah Franklin's MO. She's just so great at adjusting to those sets. Not necessarily dominant in one specific area, just great across the board. And a block!
We give a lot of credit on that point to Charlie Furbringer. An amazing serve. Got Velez off of her platform, and then a one-on-one swing against a block of Smrek and Booth. Not a lot of people are going to get it through there.
That's something Georgia Tech's going to have to do. They have a talented block of their own. You mentioned before, David, kind of similar between these two teams. Very talented up front. A couple concerns on the backside.
And Bertolino's going to need to get going for the Yellow Jackets today.
That doesn't hurt. Logan Wiley, another kill.
Yeah, 2 quick kills from Wiley in this first set, and we've seen Georgia Tech now get 3 kills out of their middles, out of their first 6 points. Certainly something they're going to want to utilize. Obviously, we talk about their 2 outsides, but if those middles can get going, it adds a whole new dynamic to this Yellow Jacket attack.
That one squeaks over the net. Furbringer, Booth again, an excellent save. Sophia Velez flashing the talent. Now they'll try Franklin, pushes it over. And here come the Jackets, far side. And an awkward exchange off of Anna Smrek.
Yeah, that's kind of the duality of Anna Smrek. You see her at sometimes become one of the most terminal players in college volleyball, but has certain stretches where she can become really injury prone. It kind of depends, what Smrek are you getting day to day. Badgers will need her.
Oh, rocketed high in the air off the scoreboard. That's still a live ball. And it jousts at the net. Smrek again.
Yeah, and Badgers running a little slide for Anna Smrek there. Not something we've seen too much this year, and she gets a great swing on it. Georgia Tech able to keep it up, and then the overpass right into the arms of Smrek.
Well, you said it before, David. Smrek, she needs it in a specific spot, but if it's there, she might have the most devastating hit in the nation. Here's Orzel.
Now that's a point you don't see too often, Vince. 2 balls over in 2 sets by Anna Smrek and Carter Booth. I mean, give Smrek a lot of credit. She's going to get an assist on that and a set right into the pocket for Orzel.
Nearly an ace. Badgers will take out a system. Furbringer. Booth!
And Georgia Tech has to take a timeout there. not liking what they're seeing. A couple of overpasses lead to Wisconsin points, and the Badgers have taken an early 5-point lead here in set one.
Well, Vince, this Georgia Tech team has had numerous injuries this season, but head coach Michelle Collier said the team really came together and stepped up. She said it's hard to name just one person that made a difference, but there were moments and people that came together. They had to go deep into their bench to find solutions to get out of situations. It was a big team effort for not just the players, but the staff and trainers too, to get them to this point in the year. Vince?
Thanks, Ariel. Yeah, some of the injuries Georgia Tech has dealt with. You got to give all the credit to Michelle Collier, just a prolific coach, has really led this team to a level of consistency that I'm sure a lot of the nation envies.
Yeah, I mean, if you can have a coach that has been with a program for this long, and Georgia Tech has been such a good team in the last couple of years, has stayed in that top 25 poll for over 80 straight weeks, and that's just such a hard thing to do, especially in the ACC, and how prolific of a conference that is, and now even more so prolific adding Stanford this past year. It's certainly a battle-tested Yellow Jackets team, and they're showing it today.
Georgia Tech entered this game ranked number 18th in the nation. Schreck has to push it over. Instead, she wins the joust.
That's good wherewithal from Schreck there. A little bit of an awkward swing. Georgia Tech not able to handle it on the backside. We've seen that a couple of times today. It's Mogridge in the middle trying to get that ball up, and ends up in kind of an overpass, over dig kind of combo, and you want to really limit those against the height of this Wisconsin front line.
Georgia Tech in the serve. And Georgia Tech to finish.
Yeah, that's how you get the ball in the system. A lot of options for the setter, and Pierce, her second kill of the night. It's a perfect way to set middle. Crawford not able to get over in time. Not much she could do there, and that's a good way for Georgia Tech to get side out quickly. The ball back on your side.
Deandra Pierce transferred from Texas, averaging 1 1/3 kills per set.
Yeah, it was on that 22 national championship team for the Longhorns.
Big block from the Badgers, but out of bounds. Georgia Tech cuts the deficit to 3.
Yeah, Otene, good job tooling the block. Robinson a little late sliding over at the end. Her third kill so far today ties her for the lead on 6 swings.
Back row attack. Tomorrow Otene could not get tips.
Yeah, Otene just mishit that one a little bit. Was maybe trying to find hands on that. Looked like the block was a little late. Could have gotten a little bit better of a swing on that, but already her second error of the match so far. The one thing you can't do if you're Georgia Tech, though, is overpasses straight off of serves. The receive was not great yesterday against Tennessee, something that they definitely want to change coming into today. Already seen the receive have a little bit of trouble so far.
Orzo will serve again, and that one touches turf.
Yeah, that one, once again, not in system, but when you have a first-team All-ACC player like Tamara Otene that can kind of take your out-of-system swings and have a nice, beautiful cut shot right in front of Lola Schumacher. It's good swing to get her rolling.
Otene off the serve. Franklin out of bounds.
Yeah, Franklin asking for a touch, did not seem like it. Just missed that cut shot a little bit wide. One of Franklin's favorite shots to take, and just missed it there.
Now Franklin off the receive. That's Robinson, opts for the push. Now here come the Jackets. Bertolino again. And Georgia Tech climbing back in set number 1.
Yeah, Emiliano did a great job running all the way cross court to be able to get a set off right into the pocket for Bertolino, who had a really tough day yesterday, hitting in the 200s against Tennessee, but is one of the best hitters in the ACC, along with Otene. You're really going to need her to get going in this match.
That'll go off the block. We talked about the Badgers before. They're a team that They will thrive off of mistakes. Not exactly a perfect team, not as much dominance as you saw last year, but if you don't bring your absolute A game to the field house, the Badgers can easily run away with it.
Yeah, I mean, there's certain areas that as an opposing team you have to come in here and try to dominate in your own right. The passing has not been great for Wisconsin so far this year, so trying to be a little bit better from the service line would benefit Georgia Tech, and they've done a good job trying to get the ball in system so far in this first set.
Big swing from the middle.
And another kill for Pierce out of the middle. The middles for Georgia Tech have really been working early on so far. Pierce and Mowridge rather, have combined 6 kills between the two of them out of Georgia Tech's 15. So 2 players that, you know, are kind of 3rd and 4th options in this offense are really getting going so far today.
Pierce averaging just 1 1/3 kills per set. Already up to 3 on the day as Franklin earns a kill.
Yeah, Mowridge trying to take away the line shot, and Franklin just tools the ball off of Pierce and out of bounds.
Near side, big Badger block. Now Tech will get another swing, and they cash in. No, Badgers.
Yeah, that ball just traveled a little bit long. I'm not exactly sure how there was not a block touch on that, but neither team seemed to argue. Bertolino didn't even question it, so just missed that one.
It'll be the freshman Fearbringer again at the line. And another awkward set.
Really the 4th overpass today so far for the Yellow Jackets. The serve receive has really not been there, and you can't give these big middles and right sides to Wisconsin overpasses. They're going to win those jousts at the net every single time. So this is a good time for a timeout for Georgia Tech. See if they cannot get their serve receive in a little bit of a better pattern.
Well, we'll keep it here, David. That was kind of the book on Georgia Tech, is that the way that they played in the ACC, there were some losses to some teams they probably should have beat. That being said, when they got it right, they could take on just about anyone.
Well, you know, this team is now on a streak of 5 straight 5-setters, Vince, and we talk about that a little bit early on, but not just 5-setters to you know, random ACC teams. Ended the year with a 5-setter versus Stanford, Miami, Florida State, and Pitt. All 4 of those teams currently in the NCAA tournament right now, and obviously one of them a 1 seed, one of them a 2 seed. So the competition to end the year has been there, and going 5 sets with those teams is almost more impressive than win against the rest of the field. So this is very clearly a high-level volleyball team that has some real talent on the outside, and we've seen the middles come through, even though you've seen some of the outsides struggle for Georgia Tech early on. The middles have really picked it up. 13 kills a set is a very prolific offense. There have been some problems in the back that we've seen so far today get exploited, but if your middles are playing the way that they have, you have to think that Otene and Bertolino will get it going. Bertolino hitting negative right now, and Otene only hitting 250. The fact that you're within 5, you have to be happy with if you are Georgia Tech.
Yeah, absolutely. And David, you gotta say, going into the tournament where it feels like that whatever team's playing their best down the stretch winds up going on that run, having a team that can be inconsistent, has shown to have that high-level play at their best. You'd rather have that team that's kind of consistently slightly above average.
Well, and it's interesting because Georgia Tech got a lot of their big, notable wins early on in the year, but the best volleyball that they've played has been in these last 5 matches.
Yes.
And so you're certainly happy with that, even if your legs are tired from playing 5 straight 5-setters.
Down 7, Georgia Tech gets to work, forces Schumacher to sprawl out. Now another awkward exchange at the net. The Badgers are thriving off of the joust.
Yeah, just a tough set for Wiley in the middle there. There's not much you can do. Booth was able to cover the setter and the middle at the same time on that backside, so it's just a tough break for Yellow Jackets.
Already 7 errors for Georgia Tech so far in this game, 2 for the Badgers. High set, Franklin too strong.
And the strong swing from Bertolino is what made that one happen. Able to get it through the block. Made it a little awkward for Lola Schumacher on the back end to try to get something in the area of Franklin, and not a lot you can do with that swing if you're Sarah Franklin.
Badgers hitting 300 on the set, 171 for the Yellow Jackets. Schumacher misread it, and now Georgia Tech will take over. Bertolino is blocked.
I mean, Georgia Tech got what they wanted. An overpass gets the ball in the system, but kind of a one-option set right into the arms of Smrek and Booth. Maybe like to see Emiliano backset that, get it away from those two.
Badgers average 3 blocks per set. They got 5 right now. Schumacher flying all over the place to keep it alive in set number 1. And yet it's Georgia Tech coming away with the point.
Yeah, much better choice from Emiliano there. Saw the block rotating over to her left, decided to back set over to Liv Moridge on the back. Moridge is having herself a set, her 4th kill. I think 667 on the night.
Back-to-back push shots. Now Smrek will try back row. Barton Franklin. Otene forces another excellent save, and Smrek can't cash in. Awkward hit from Otene. Now Smrek will try again. Georgia Tech block doing its job, but the Badgers back line doing just enough. Orzo looking to end it. Out of bounds, and Georgia Tech wins the point of the match thus far.
Wow, I'm surprised there was no touch on that, but what floor defense from both of these teams. A couple great digs from Lola Schumacher, Sarah Franklin on one side, and then the libero Sophia Velez, rather, able to keep a couple of balls up on the Georgia Tech side, and Orzel hits it out of bounds. Good job by the block being able to get set. I mean, in that long of a point, to still be able to get your block set on an Orzel kind of hit. Great job from the Yellow Jackets.
Bertolino earns an ace, a shrug from her, but she'll take it, and it skips over the net.
Looks like Kelly Sheffield's gonna want to take a timeout here. An ace to start this one on that top spin serve.
Wisconsin has controlled this set throughout the majority of it, but Georgia Tech, they've hung around, and you know how capable they are of rattling off a run. Big set number 1 coming up to an exciting finish here, David.
Yeah, I mean, it's been those like kind of neutral points going back and forth that Georgia Tech has really won so far. And then I've mentioned it a couple of times. The play of the middles has been unbelievable for the Yellow Jackets. Mogridge, 4 kills on 7 swings, hitting 571. And then Pierce, 3 kills on 4 swings, hitting 750. So if you're in a set, as we look at Wisconsin's numbers here, I'll finish my point about Georgia Tech later, but this is a Badger team. It's very similar to, you know, the same teams that have been going since this national championship team. Big block has kind of not quite been the same as past years, but a big jump in the serve-receive department. Lola Schumacher has done a great job filling in for that libero spot where there were a lot of questions at the start of the year there, and obviously you still have Sarah Franklin and Anna Smrek as your 2 options on the outside, and Julia Orschel moving back to outside as well. So this is a still similarly built team. This is the last kind of rodeo for these seniors. This most likely their last game at the field house, and this team is just as dangerous as ever. Had a rough start, had a lot of injuries at the start of the year, and played some really tough competition rather in that volleyball showcase at the start of the year, but had a really good stretch in the middle of the year with wins over Penn State and Purdue, and is just as dangerous as ever.
When you're looking to win that championship with a bunch of grad students on your roster, obviously it's good to have that dominant regular season, and if it wasn't quite to the Badger standard, just playing your best into the tournament, that's the next best thing. Franklin. Now Otene into the block. And off the Badger side of the net.
That's a good job by Schumacher getting up that topspin serve, but Georgia Tech able to dig one out and then get a good swing out of it. It's a good sign for Otene to get back on track.
Otene going right at Smrek and Booth, 2 fantastic defensive players, able to get the job done. Orzel has to settle for a tap. Now Otene just out of bounds, looking to skirt the line, but could not quite thread the needle.
That's a tough shot to try to take over 6'7" and 6'9" at the block, and that's exactly what Wisconsin needed, because Bertolino was kind of eating him alive with that topspin serve, was able to get it over the net all 3 times, which is not something you typically see out of people that serve like that, and 3 great serves, and Badgers are hopeful to get out of that rotation.
Big time hit. Liv Mogridge keeping this set interesting.
Yeah, Mogridge, another kill, her 6th of this first set. I mean, Badgers have really had no answer, and Georgia Tech's doing a really great job kind of picking on whichever side Charlie Furbringer is up front. Obviously, Wisconsin switching back to that 5-1 this year means the setter has to be in the front row blocking, and Furbringer standing at 5'11". Obviously, the best option to hit against, and Georgia Tech's taking advantage of that so far.
168 kills per set for Mogridge. Now Georgia Tech a chance to cut it to 1. They'll reset off the block. And now it's Wisconsin's turn. Orzel. Just out of bounds. And suddenly it's a 1-point game.
Yeah, Georgia Tech taking advantage of some attacking errors from Wisconsin and doing a good job putting on some service pressure. Sandin coming in now to serve, the serving specialist. We'll see what she can do.
Franklin able to receive it. Smrek gets blocked. Here's Smrek again. Easy dig, and Otene ties it up at 23. Well.
Yeah, and Kelly Sheffield's gonna wanna talk things over. What a job by Otene. First getting a ton of block touches on that point, and then terminal on the late slide over by the Badgers. Georgia Tech clawing their way all the way back into this set. Wow.
Tamara Otene, the transfer from Illinois State, has been a fantastic beast for this squad, currently at 6 kills on 15 attempts, 200 hit percentage, but just feels like she's given the Yellow Jackets a level of reliability that they badly need in set 1.
Yeah, I mean, Georgia Tech on a 3-0 scoring run right now, followed by a 3-1 scoring run right before this, and a lot of it has to do with the ability to get block touches on these swings from Smrek and Franklin. Just give your backline a chance to get the ball up, and then give your hitters swings at the ball. That's the name of the game. You give these 2 fantastic outside hitters swings at the ball, good things are going to happen. But I can't say anything about Georgia Tech without mentioning the middles. I mean, it's still a set where your 2 outside, one is hitting 200 and the other one's still hitting negative. The reason that Georgia Tech is still in this set is because they have both of their middles hitting over 600, and they're holding Sarah Franklin to hitting 200 on the other side, and Anna Smrek to 083. So give a lot of credit to this Georgia Tech block. The middles on the block and the middles on the offensive side as well.
And most concerning for Wisconsin is that Georgia Tech, they've tied this up, and they've had 9 errors in this set as well.
Yeah, a lot of errors from both sides, but the 9 for Georgia Tech, a lot of those happened earlier in the set, and I've really started to click here later in the first set.
Lauren Sandin to serve. Received well by Franklin. And Smrek sets up set point.
It's exactly what Wisconsin needs coming out of the timeout. Good job by Franklin getting the ball into the system. Georgia Tech's been picking on her on the service line to kind of take her out of that hitting possibility, but puts a good pass on it, and Smrek terminates.
Gushikin, perhaps the best server on this Badger team. Crowd on its feet at the field house. And just like that, it's the self-inflicted wounds again, and Georgia Tech back in it.
Yeah, we've not seen a lot of service errors so far today, but that one just a pretty clear miss hit from Gushikin. Maybe you chalk it up to not playing, has been hurt, but we have extra points in set 1. How about that, Vince? Something Georgia Tech's pretty familiar with from yesterday.
That's a good point, David. They have seen it all over the past month. Provided the Georgia Tech faithful with a plethora of fun games. And now they're hunting for that signature win. Robinson off the slide.
It's a good job by Furbringer, kind of disguising that slide. Looked like she was going to go to Orzel on the other side. Instead, back sets Robinson, and Devin Robinson just terminal on that slide. And Georgia Tech needs to side out here, or else first set will go to Wisconsin.
Yulia Orzel at the service line. 40 service aces to her name. Can't get 41. Otene cashes in. Now we're tied back up at 25.
Yeah, Otene just tooling that block again. Not a great pass, but the bump set gets over there. A beautiful bump set from Velez, gets it right to Otene, and she finishes.
A nice serve. Fearbringer has to sprawl out. Badgers caught out of system. Georgia Tech for the lead. Set point Yellow Jackets.
Yeah, Emiliano does a good job recognizing that the Badger block's gonna be out of sorts with Franklin not being able to get there in time, and gets it right to the perfect spot to take the lead.
Otene with a big time serve. Badgers out of system once again for set one. How about that? Georgia Tech goes into the field house. They take a 1-0 set lead over the Badgers.
I mean, that is exactly what you wanted to do coming into this match if you are Georgia Tech. Both the outsides had a rough start to the first set, but who do you rely upon in crunch time? Otene and Bertolino.
The aforementioned Fearbringer, who got set number 2 started. And not a bad way to refine your groove if you're Wisconsin.
Yeah, I mean, goes after Velez in the back row, and it's been the biggest transformation of Fearbringer's game since she arrived in Madison this fall, has been from behind the service line. Struggled early in the season, but since then has become the best server on this team and one of the best in the country.
She has 51 service errors, but 30 aces. That's Orzo from the back line. Booth from the front. Can't get a clean hit. Georgia Tech tying it up. Bianca Bertolino, not her best set number 1, but when you're the primary hitter on this team, you know she's going to be coming around sooner rather than later.
No, but Bertolino did a good job taking away that cut shot from Franklin, digging it up, and then getting right back in position to get a swing. She'll take her place behind the service line. Had a really great serving first set.
Another decent one, but the Badgers are on it.
That is a huge setup for Wisconsin. Bertolino went on a 3-0 serving run of her own in that first set, getting that topspin serve over. Sometimes really hard to pass, but Franklin able to get a good pass on that and then finish it off by Smrek.
Franklin, one of the rare full rotation players, getting it done first from the first service line, then on the defensive end there. Mogridge has to tap it over. And Otene. Oh, that one touches hardwood.
I don't know about that one, Vince. See, this is one of those plays that we've seen in volleyball as Kelly Sheffield's going to go over and challenge this right now. We've seen this a couple of times so far this season, and this is one of those that usually as an official you like to keep the point alive, see how it ends, and then you can always go back and review if the ball does hit the floor. They instead blow this dead, so if it is reversed, will just be a replay of the point instead of, you know, it going the other way. Fearbringer clearly gets her hand under there.
I think you're right, David. And yeah, you make a good point there.
So that's one you just, I think as an official, you let the point play out. You see how it goes. You know you're gonna review it anyway. So you might as well let the point play out and give the rightful team, you know, whoever ends the point. If Georgia Tech ends up winning the point, great, it's just a point for them. You don't even need to review, you know, necessarily if it hits the ground. But by blowing this dead, Wisconsin's swing that they get out of it doesn't, you know, it wouldn't have mattered anyway, and it looks like they're just going to replay this point.
And that also forces the Badgers to use a challenge as well, because
yeah,
obviously you get 2, you got to keep going if you get them right, but now the Badgers, even though they get this first challenge right, if their second one doesn't cash in, then that's it.
Yeah, I mean, this one should not be that long of a review, Vince. I mean, I think this one's pretty clearly up. I mean, what a pancake from Charlie Fearbringer.
I think that was Orzo.
Wow.
Oh, and it will stay with Georgia Tech.
All right, maybe they saw something we didn't, but
yeah, I got an extra angle or two maybe. We weren't able to tell based on what we saw, but
I'm not exactly sure what the angle would be to differentiate that, but play on.
Logan Wiley, the 6'2 freshman, now at the line. Franklin has to adjust, able to get it away. Bertolino lays out, but the Badgers earn the point.
A great off-platform pass from Sarah Franklin. I mean, if you talk about Sarah Franklin, you have to talk about her in almost every facet of the game. It's been, you know, the thing she's improved on the most since she came here from Michigan State has been the passing in the back row. Used to be the player that teams would serve at to, you know, force errors, but she's quickly become probably the best passer on this team.
Orzo, big swing and big block.
Yeah, Pierce and Mogridge combined for the block on that one. You know, Mogridge listed as a middle on the Georgia Tech roster, has been playing a lot of opposite so far today, and has been amazing. Has probably been the best player on this Georgia Tech team so far today.
Has shown some efficiency on offense, devastation on defense. There she is laying out to keep it alive. Fearbringer sets up Crawford, and that'll be point Wisconsin.
Hey, good job by CeCe Crawford, just finding the campfire there. Took a big swing on that first ball and gets back to the Badgers. A great one-handed set from Fearbringer, and Crawford just tips it over, finds the campfire, and Wisconsin sides out quickly.
Crawford, more so known as a block threat, but still .319 hit percentage on the year, just about 1 kill per set. Otene off the block, out of bounds.
Yeah,
We're tied at 4.
Crawford a little late that time getting over on the block. Otene realizes this and just able to basically get to one-on-one with Fearbringer, and Otene is going to win that every single time.
Now Otene back at the line. Orzo has to push it again. Awkward exchange. This time Georgia Tech survives the joust. Can't survive Franklin.
Yeah, but that's a shot from Yulia Orzel that I want to see her taking a little bit more often so far. Still hitting negative in this game, but it's the first time I've really seen her try to utilize that push shot, utilize a little bit more finesse. She's one of the more undersized outsides in the country, but is so good at tooling the block and using that off speed. Has really not seen it so far today, but it's kind of the catalyst for that point.
Wisconsin, did it get over? We play on. Highlight on defensive end, but Georgia Tech keeps their composure, and we are tied up once again.
And I believe it was Otene in the back there after that chaotic Robinson getting the ball over. Otene is the one that laid out and kept that point alive for Georgia Tech. People are going to look at the Wisconsin floor defense on that and be like, oh, how did they get it over? But Otene is the one that got him back in system and got a swing out of it.
Velez with the serve. Robinson off the slide. It's out of bounds despite a valiant effort there from Logan Wiley.
I believe it was Bianca Bertolino actually on that other side. We'll see. We'll take a look at it here. It was Bertolino on that other side. Read the slide perfectly and almost got that one-on-one block win, but Robinson just a little bit too powerful of a swing.
4 solo blocks for Bertolino. An awkward serve. Now it's Georgia Tech caught out of system. Franklin again. Kill number 7 for the reigning player of the year.
It's a great point from Sage Damrow on that. Starts it off with a really nice serve, gets Georgia Tech out of system, and then digs the ball on the other side, gets it right into the pocket for Franklin, and she toes the line on the backside.
And we will get a challenge from Georgia Tech here.
Yeah, I believe it's going to be an in-out call on the back line. It certainly was close. See if we can get a view of it. And it's interesting because Sage Damrow, started coming into this rotation for Wisconsin with the injury to Goshe Guchkin. As we get a quick review, point stays with Wisconsin, but she's done a good job filling in for Guchkin in the time. And now, as Guchkin's trying to come back from that injury, as we take another look at this, Damrow has kind of been tasked with that serving specialist role and looks good in it tonight.
That was a pretty quick review and fairly definitive. Right on cue, a service error for the Badgers. You wonder if that challenge is meant to try and prevent a Badger run, but the Badgers right on cue, give it back.
Yeah, the second service error of the night for the Badgers. And I don't know, Vince, I don't know if it's a challenge or you're just your classic announcer jinx on that one.
I wonder what happens more, the announcer jinx or announcers talking about the announcer jinx?
I think every time it happens, we talk about it.
It's in the contract. Franklin is in rhythm.
Wow. I mean, that is a shot that maybe 3 to 5 people in the country can make. That cut shot all the way to the deep corner, toes the line, swerves right around Velez. I mean, what a shot from Sarah Franklin. Not much you can do if you're Georgia Tech on that one.
Yeah, that was nasty. That was almost like a slider.
Yeah.
Badgers leading by 2, down in set 1. Somehow it gets over, but Smrek able to get the job done.
Yeah, it won't go down as an ace, but certainly should count as one for Charlie Furbringer. A great serve, mishandled by Velez in the back. She's had a couple of points, or she's had some trouble passing. Obviously, the first point of the set was an ace in her direction, and mishandles it there. We'll see if Furbringer goes back to that here in the back row.
Well, how often you see, David, when a player starts racking up service errors that they decide to take some off of it, but just losing your confidence a little bit. But Furbringer, she knows the talent is clearly there. Number 2 prospect in the nation as a freshman, number 1 setter. She has given the Badgers what they have needed.
It's a good response from Georgia Tech, getting the ball back in the system and getting a swing. Bertolino, I believe. Yeah, it's a good job tooling the block, get it into the middle and off the hands of Booth and down, and she'll take a crack at it from behind the service line.
Bertolino building that hit percentage up. 5 kills, 18 attempts, 2 errors to her name. Franklin again. This time the block, but a block in return. Miscommunication from the Jackets. And Booth, no, say a net violation?
Yeah, I believe Booth got the net on that swing, and that's why it's going to result in a Georgia Tech point. Yeah, very clearly in the net on that one.
Bertolino to serve. A lot of oof, but not quite the direction she wanted.
Well, that's the danger of those topspin serves, Vince, is that when they get over the net, they're really hard to pass, and Wisconsin's done a good job passing them so far, but very prone to errors, as you know, it's a very slim margin for error on those serves.
That one's well out of bounds with Mogridge aiming for tips. Couldn't find any.
Yeah, Mogridge's first error of the match so far. Previously had 5 kills on 12 swings, and that just drops her hitting percentage. Really the first mistake she's made.
Off the block, out of bounds. Logan Wiley, another kill. A freshman, you do give people guesses of what year in school she is. Freshman might be their last guess.
I would not say a freshman. That's a very savvy play. Seeing the smaller blocker in Orgel coming over and deciding to just try to tool her instead of hitting it at Carter Booth. Smart decision from the freshman.
Wiley from the service line. And that one just barely out of bounds.
That one just not a great decision from Furbringer there. I think I'd rather see her try to set Orgel on the far side than 3 blockers from Georgia Tech going with Booth and Smrek on the near side, and it's not a great swing from Booth there.
And another ace. We're tied up just like that. Something that Georgia Tech has done throughout this game is that Fleck Wisconsin, they've had some runs to their name, but Georgia Tech always able to answer, and Wisconsin is helping them in the process.
Yeah, the 3rd ace of the match so far for the Yellow Jackets.
Smrek, big hit, but a bigger block. She'll try again, tough angle. Opposite just push it over. Otene with the push, gets it done. Georgia Tech taking a lead in set number 2, coming off the heels of a set 1 victory. And Coach Kelly Sheffield needs a timeout.
I mean, that's one of those swings from Tamara Otene that you just have to marvel at. Booth and Smrek both set up in blocking position. Otene sees it, decides to just go off speed, finds the campfire. Georgia Tech 12-11.
We return to Madison, Wisconsin team that has thrived off of their chemistry, and Ariel Tamir-Pinsky will tell us more about it. Ariel?
Well, guys, Associate Head Coach Gary White said when you're trying to build a team, you want to try and find something that everybody believes in and holds true to. He said when you're building chemistry, you want to find the foundations of the same beliefs as a team. They want to embrace each other's challenges and tribulations. He said they strive for challenging, hostile, and super intense environments, because when you have a belief in each other and one common goal, that's what builds the chemistry. Vince?
Thank you, Ariel. can see the chemistry on display right there from Emilio Orzol, but it's something that the Badgers, although they've had a lot of turnover like with any college team with the players year after year, it feels like the vibes are always immaculate with them, David.
Well, and they've had, some staples of the team been there. Smrek, Franklin, Robinson, Crawford even have been there. Orzol this entire time who gets the kill there, back-to-back kills for her. When you have those building pieces, you can rotate people in and out, and obviously Kelly Sheffield has built a winning program here. You just look at the banners in the field house, there's all the proof you need for that. So chemistry comes easy when when you're winning a lot of games.
Now with those banners also comes expectations, and right now you can tell that Badgers a little caught off guard by how Georgia Tech has started this game. That said, Badgers are leading in set number 2. Franklin looking to extend the lead, and a trio of Jackets are on it. They'll try Smrek. Perfect location. And the Badgers extend a minuscule lead.
Yeah, one of the places Lola Schumacher has gotten better at throughout this year has been on that floor defense on the backside. A one-on-one swing with no block touch from Otene, able to dig it up, and that's all you can ask for from your DS or your libero if you're Wisconsin. Just get your hitters a swing.
Schumacher over 3.5 digs per set. That one's out of bounds.
And Mogridge put enough on that so that it just snuck right back out of bounds, and it's a tough break for Wisconsin, who read that one really well.
Hit percentage is nearly identical. Wisconsin 232, Yellow Jackets 230. Fearbringer to Orzol.
And Charlie Fearbringer's done a great job in this set, mixing up her looks, has gotten Orzol going. 3 kills. This is a little bit of a subbing mishap from the Yellow Jackets, and Orzol 3 of the last 4 kills for Wisconsin coming out of that timeout. She's taken a really big step this year, has taken a lot more swings. Obviously was the libero of this team last year, moved back to outside hitter, which is her more natural position, and has done it very, very smoothly.
We talk about Sarah Franklin as the classic full rotation player as Georgia Tech, another kill, but Orzol, to her credit as well, might have the advantage in just no weaknesses.
Well, Orzol is, was one of those players that was kind of banged up to start the year for Wisconsin, and they really missed it. That Stanford match, Louisville, Texas, and all of those matches, it really missed her passing, but Georgia Tech doing a great job, not fooled by the dump there.
That's what Fairbringer's best at. Robinson can't cash in off the slide. Bertolino gets a swing. Georgia Tech another chance. It's another block. The senior. Too much oomph on it. The Badgers lead back up to 2.
Yeah, that one just a battle between the Badger block and the Georgia Tech floor defense. Yellow Jackets swarming on that end, but Devin Robinson, Sarah Franklin on the Badger end kept getting touches, kept sending it over to the Georgia Tech side, and finally an error from Bertolino.
Deandra Pierce entering the fray. Kill number 5 for her.
Yeah, something interesting to note. Soares now in for the Yellow Jackets as the setter. We've seen them go to this a couple of times so far this year. Certainly did against Tennessee, utilizing both of their setters. So something to look out for, a little bit more of a blocking threat for the Yellow Jackets.
Wisconsin read the block and earns the point.
Yeah, Wisconsin's had Georgia Tech scrambling these last couple of points. The Yellow Jackets have done a great job trying to get it over and successfully getting it over, but eventually Wisconsin's going to find a way to get a ball down. This is a big moment for the Yellow Jackets. Got a side out here. This is a rotation that you like with Fearbringer up top. This has to be a quick side out.
Damrow the serve. Big hit, but a bigger block and a net violation on Georgia Tech. Wisconsin earning a little bit of breathing room now in set number 2.
Yeah, it looked like Wiley just kind of whiffed on that one. We'll get a replay here on the video board for us, but yeah, just completely whiffed on it. Went into the net, and a quick little 3-0 run for the Badgers.
Not a bad idea from Georgia Tech, calling time as Wisconsin seemed to pull away a little bit. You do got to give Georgia Tech some credit, though. That kind of felt like set number 1, you catch the Badgers off guard. You kind of wonder your Badgers are going to come back with some fury in set number 2, but Georgia Tech has hung around. That said, Wisconsin does look a little bit better in set number 2, David.
Yeah, they do. I mean, it's getting your main two going. And Orschel, who was hitting, negative 100 in that first set, back into the positives in this set, has 4 kills in the set already, and a Spreck now to 278 at her own right. Franklin's been hovering around that, 260 mark. But if you're Wisconsin and you're looking at this set, you still have Booth only hitting 111. Orschel's finally getting it going. You're still doing a good job on the other land. Otene she's gonna hit around 300. It's gonna be hard to stop her. I mean, she's gotten back into this one. Already has 24 swings, and but what you look at this, if you're Wisconsin and you look at Bianca Bertolino and only 5 kills on 22 swings, hitting 0. You're certainly happy with that. And from now on, it's really you've limited the damage from Moridge as well. She's back under 400. 333 still a very, very good hitting percentage, but considering she was over 600 in that first set, kind of tampering her. The Badgers done a much better job on that. But you look at Pierce and you look at Wiley, and they've done a great job for Georgia Tech here. It's really going to be, I think, which team's going to get the ball in system more. Georgia Tech's been scrambling a little bit too much in this set. Floor defense has been great, but going to need to find a way to get some block touches and get them back and getting some swings in their own right. That has been the biggest difference in since that first midpoint timeout.
Well, the timeout, it'll be Damrow to serve. Almost an ace. Back-to-back times, Georgia Tech out of rotation. Almost a kill off the setter dump for Fierbringer. Now she'll set up Booth. Toes the line.
And Georgia Tech once again out of sorts. Able to get the ball up a couple of times. Otene had trouble with the serve, and then a dig that landed near the Georgia Tech bench. I would be surprised to see if Damrow not going right back to Otene on this serve.
She tries Bertolino, who off the swing earns a kill. Straight down off of Fierbringer and Booth.
Yeah, that is a big side out for the Yellow Jackets there. Probably their worst rotation with Bertolino and Otene in the back row from a passing perspective. And now you side out, you get to rotate. You get a great server in Emiliano back behind the line in your own right. This is where you can go on a run maybe if you're Georgia Tech.
Emiliano 27 aces, but instead she'll earn error number 16.
Yeah, but just the 4th serving error of the match for Georgia Tech, a team that had, was okay yesterday in service errors. The reception was really more of the issue. Has done a good job limiting it today, but with Wisconsin, best server behind the line.
Oh, and another big serve. We talked about server C being the X factor in this game. We're starting to see Wisconsin break out a little bit.
Yeah, Charlie Furbringer has had Sofia Velez's number tonight. That's the 3rd serve that has gone her direction that she has not been able to handle. Another one lands an ace for the Badger freshman.
And it's another one for Fierbringer.
And Georgia Tech's going to take a timeout here. Got to sit down and talk to Velez and Otene. They've had a lot of trouble with Charlie Furbringer behind the line. It's a matter of time before she started going, and the Badgers have opened this one up 22-16.
You can just kind of feel now this crowd was silent throughout set number 1. When you get those big plays streamed together, not only do you get momentum, it feels like this crowd does as well. And when they are at their fever pitch, you can't even hear yourself think.
Well, and it's something that we mentioned in the open, Vince, is this was going to be a match where Wisconsin, was going to be able to make some pressure from behind the service line. For everything that Georgia Tech does well, probably their worst aspect of the game is their serve receive. Otene and Velez not great in that aspect, and Furbringer has done a great job. She already has three aces on the match, rather. You got to find a way, Coach Collier has got to find a way to maybe hide Otene in the serve pattern. It's going to be hard if you have to hide your libero in that, but you have to think of something, because praying for a service error from Charlie Furbringer the way that she's been serving the volleyball as of late is not going to work, and we'll see what they do coming out of this timeout. And I mean, Wisconsin, that's exactly what you want to see. Your best server making plays, your freshman in her first tournament making plays, and nice little 3-0 service run for Charlie Furbringer.
You got to think with how Furbringer feeling right now, she's going to want to launch an absolute rocket again over the net. You worried about service error at all out of the timeout?
No. I mean, it's not like she's doing anything, you know, particularly special. She's just a great server, and it's just picking on the right people, and I think she'll try to find that seam between Otene and Velez here again.
A 3-0 spurt for the Badgers. They lead by 6 in set number 2. Here's Furbringer again. This time it's received well. Oh, not so fast. Bertolino fires it over successfully, but Franklin sets up. Now Bertolino again. Point Wisconsin.
That is about as close as you're possibly going to get for Bertolino. That's a tough shot, trying to cut it past the block. And I mean, for the mishaps she's had in serve receive, Otene has had a good match so far in her floor defense, but need to get a better pass on this one.
Furbringer looking to draw set number 2 to a close. It's another good serve, but an even better attack. Tamara Otene reminding the Badgers of how dominant she was in set number 1.
Yeah, that one just a great pass from Velez in the back row. Gets it over to the setter who sets back row for Otene, and that's what Georgia Tech needed. If you're Wisconsin, you want to side out here against Bertolino.
Big time serve, forcing Orzel to slide sideways, and another block. Felt like Wisconsin was pulling away. Still some work to do for Georgia Tech, but chance to claw back into this one.
Yeah, Bertolino's the one you want behind the line for Georgia Tech. She's very capable of going on runs with that top spin serve. A quick ace right there. We'll see what she has here. There's the duality of it, Vince. It's great when it works, and Badger fans know about the top spin serve last year watching Temi Thomas Ailara here in Madison, and the duality of that serve. When you get it over, it's great, but also get a lot of errors on it.
And now it's set point for the Badgers. Had a set point in set number 1. This time looking to slam the door shut. Here's Furbringer to Orzel. Now it's kept alive. Mottridge fires. She'll try again. For set 2, blocked! In highlight fashion. Liv Mogridge and Logan Wiley teaming up, a well-earned hug after that one.
Yeah, just the second block of the match for Georgia Tech. Furbringer going back to the well over and over again with Orzel, and that time Mogridge just read it perfectly, and Georgia Tech 5 more points to get back. Set point number 2 in this set for the Badgers.
Lauren Sandin to serve. Oh, Badgers keeping it alive off the joust. But Georgia Tech earns the point. I'll tell you what, David, Lola Schumacher is flying all over the place right now.
Yeah, Kelly Sheffield going to want a timeout here. Serve receive not been great for the Badgers, something that's plagued them over the last couple of years, and good awareness from Wiley on the overpass, rather. Try to get the kill there, and Georgia Tech creeping back into this. This is one, I mean, Wisconsin's had trouble in the red zone all year so far. For those unfamiliar with the term, the red zone in volleyball is when you do get to that 20-point mark, those last 5 points of every set. It's something Wisconsin's really struggled with, is finding that, you know, last 2 points. Can they gut out the last 2 points and get the set? This is not a team you want to let hang in there. The firepower that they have in the hitting department is not something you want to get here. Wisconsin's been very good coming out of timeout so far today. Let's see what Kelly Sheffield draws up, who he draws it up for, but it all starts with the pass.
And that's just, it's so bizarre, Wisconsin's inability at times to close out sets, David, where you've got a team loaded with talented grad students at that. Just what do you think the cause is for that?
I mean,
it's tough.
It's tough. I think it, you know, when you're a team that is prone to giving up service runs like Wisconsin is, that is the hardest part. I think, you know, the passing has been good for the most part. Lola Schumacher's had a couple of interesting passes in that back row. Franklin's been good for the most part, and Orgel's been good for the most part. But when that's your biggest weakness as a team, which I think it is with this Wisconsin team, is that serve receive. Get the ball in system, I would like to see Furbringer maybe, if they do get the ball in system, give Booth another look, get her a swing, and if not, recycle it, get another swing for Smrek. But all starts with the pass here, I believe. Probably Sarah Franklin's going to be the one getting this pass, get her out of the hitting rotation. And
Lauren Sandin going to need a big run to keep Georgia Tech in set number 2. And the Badgers tie it up at 1 apiece.
Exactly like they wanted to draw it up. Serve at Franklin, gets a good pass on it, right to Furbringer, able to set Smrek in the middle, and a great response from the Badgers.
As Georgia Tech came back, Wisconsin returned to their bread and butter, and the electricity here is tangible. Kind of wonder, you have enough of those 5-set games, of these close nail-biters. Will that eventually translate to some consistent success in that category if they haven't found it already?
And this is a Wisconsin team that hasn't played a 5-setter since Minnesota came to the Fieldhouse. So not necessarily used to long-winded matches, but they'll certainly take that to get a point started for this set.
Sarah Franklin has been a little bit off in this match thus far. 4th air turn hitting percentage underneath. We're at 148 currently.
Yeah, not a shot you see her miss too often either. I kind of just assumed it went in.
Right on cue, Franklin again, and that's kind of what she gives, is that her confidence will never waver. She's going to keep hitting over and over again, even when in maybe a micro perspective, the stats might be down. By the time the game's done, you look up and she has another solid performance.
Yeah, I mean, and despite hitting under 200 right now, she's always going to see 2 blockers, and is so good at it, has been for the last 3 years. So she knows what she's doing. She'll find her rhythm. But Georgia Tech's done a good job mixing up the looks on her so far today.
They'll try with Franklin again, steps into it. Now Bertolino forces Schumacher to sprawl out. A tough set, toes the net. Purebring will try again with Franklin. Tapped up, in the air. Not a battle you want to go up against is Anna Smrek when she's right at the net.
Yeah, and a little bit of I don't even know what you call that look on Smrek's face. Totally mishit that free ball. Almost sailed out of bounds.
You're right.
Ooh, yeah, but.
Yeah, a little bit of like confusion, because a lot of times you see her just deliver a
honestly, lucky to not get a net violation on that one. Just narrowly avoided the net. So.
No, they all caught the same though, right?
Hey, they all count as a kill, Vince.
Purebringer had an insane stretch to end set number 2, racking up a plethora of aces. Smrek again. And Wisconsin now a 2-point lead.
Yeah, Booth does a good job reading the middle set there to Wiley, something that Georgia Tech's kind of been the bread and butter for a lot of today. Booth gets over on the solo, uses those long arms, and gets a block. The 8th of the day for the Badgers.
Carter Booth, the junior, last year hit over 400, led the nation in blocks per set. Another miscommunication.
Yeah, that's one for Georgia Tech that you're going to want Emiliano to go over and get. Instead of, Modric capable of getting that ball up. He'd rather her be a hitting option. Emiliano get over, get a bump set on that, but a miscommunication and another scoring run for the Badgers. 3-0 service run for Charlie Furbringer.
We talked before, the Badgers, though they've struggled when it's close, they have an ability to pull away when they get ahead. Franklin pushes it down. The lead's up to 4.
And that power tip is something that Sarah Franklin has kind of added to her arsenal this year. That's one I think last year you try to see her maybe go off speed into the campfire and probably gets dug, but that little power tip, not quite a full swing rather, but enough to get it down before the floor defense can come.
Badgers in the midst of a 5-0 run. Make it 6. The Badger block is in business. Number 9 for Wisconsin, and Carter Booth is locked in.
Yeah, tough break for Georgia Tech. The first time this set, really, that Ochane's been able to get a good pass on it. But Booth and Smrek read it perfectly. Carter Booth gets her second block of the set.
Back in Madison, a lot of fun players on the Wisconsin Badgers who have a 1-1 set lead. Ariel Tamir Pinsky will tell us more about one in particular.
Thanks, Vince. Yulia Orzel was named to the All-Big Ten second team and was a sportsmanship honoree. The Badger Volleyball Instagram account captioned her post, "The Wizard of Oz." When I asked associate head coach Gary White about that name, he said, "Well, we call her Oz in the gym for a nickname, but she is a wizard out on the court. The way she attacks a block, and when she gets a seam and she can just push it down in the space, she can hit it hard." He said, "It's a great word to describe her offense, and with her size, you have to be a wizard up there."
Thanks, Ariel.
Yeah, Orgel's kind of been asked to do everything for this Wisconsin team. Obviously, it's hard for Eddie outside to come in and step in and be a libero like she was asked to do last year, and did it with grace. Was, you know, certainly not one of the best liberos in the Big Ten, but was probably in the top half, and just to be able to switch positions like that and then so effortlessly come back and become a good hitter again this year it's really a tribute to her flexibility, and obviously Kelly Sheffield loves to see that.
Meanwhile, the Badgers extend that lead to 5. They're making Georgia Tech work as they catch them out of system. Fearbanger tries Booth.
Yeah, another free ball for Georgia Tech. Ends in a kill for Carter Booth. I mean, it's kind of been the story of this last, set and a half. Has been too many free balls from the Yellow Jackets, and that's not how you beat this Wisconsin team.
Now Franklin with the serve. And for Georgia Tech, it's Mogridge with the finish.
Yeah, Liv Mogridge's been a little bit quiet since that first set, but that time a great pass from Velez gets them in system and gets Mogridge on a little bit of a slide there.
Georgia Tech down 5, still plenty of volleyball left to play. Don't know if that'll be the case if Carter Booth keeps firing like that.
Wisconsin's doing a good job taking advantage of the serving rotations that, not Georgia Tech's best servers. Logan Wiley back there that time for the Yellow Jackets gives Schumacher a good serve, and she's able to put a pass onto it and get him in system.
Setter dump is denied. Cece Crawford trying to get a little sneaky.
And she's done that a couple of times this year, but Mogridge right there, having none of it, read that one like a book. But give a lot of credit to Emiliano, the setter, at last time. Gets a great set and a good swing for her hitters. She's been putting her hitters into really great positions this set. I mean, they're not hitting great, but when they do get into system, Emiliano's making the right decisions, and that's half the battle.
Liv Mogridge has been fantastic thus far for Georgia Tech. Instead they'll try Otene. Now Smrek pushes it forward. Earns kill number 9.
Anna Smrek has found a different level ever since that first set. Now up around 300 hitting. Her and Carter Booth have really found their groove here in this third set. It's 320 for Anna Smrek, her 9th kill. This is where Wisconsin's at their best, when they're actually, they're evening out the kill production across multiple people. It was really Franklin heavy in those first 2 sets, and it's hard to not, set Franklin every time, but when they spread it out and get Smrek involved, that's really when they're at their best.
Smrek's efficiency did drop to an extent this year, still first team all Big Ten. That one pinpoint on the corner. Crowd doesn't like it, but Coach Kelly Sheffield, no intention of challenging. I think that's a clean hit.
I think that's the right call. I mean, it bounced up and hit the line judge. Yeah, just narrowly got that corner. I mean, what an unbelievable swing by Mendez. I haven't called her name yet tonight, but for a first swing of the match, that's about as good as you can get.
Another block. Wisconsin got to keep it alive. Instead, Orzel up to fire. Bertolino pushing it over and earning another kill.
The Georgia Tech block is locked in this third set. They're not, not necessarily getting the blocks themselves, but it's the touches that matter more in this match. Can they get hands on swings, give their back line a chance? And turn the ball over right back to their hitters.
Otane with the serve, Orzel with the finish. She got tips.
Yeah, something that Orzel is, that's her best attribute as a hitter is she's so crafty at tooling the block, able to get it off of the top of Bertolino and fire it out of bounds.
Now Orzel will get the point started. Decent serve, but an even better kill.
Yeah, it's Bertolino just trying to find her way back into this match. Has been really quiet in this set. Had a good start to the set and has been better since the first set, but just hitting 0-31.
Joust and Franklin lunging at the net somehow to get a hand up. Bertolino again. And here comes the Badgers. Robinson off the slide.
I mean, Devin Robinson has been terminal today. Her 4th kill on 6 swings with no errors. And 3 of those kills now coming on that slide is just such an athletic play from Devin Robinson to be able to reach back and still get that much power on a slide. I don't think people appreciate how much athleticism it takes to be able to make that play.
And Robinson hasn't had as much playing time as last year as the Badgers shifted that 5-1, requiring back row from every player. When she comes in, she can be an absolute mercenary.
Yeah, I think you'd be pressed to find a 3 middle blocker rotation better than what the Badgers have with Booth, Robinson, and Crawford. But that time, Bertolino gets the swing over Furbringer again. It's going to be a big point for Georgia Tech to come back in this set. Try to, in these front row rotations for Charlie Furbringer, try to get as many swings going her way as possible.
It was a great serve from Luana Emiliano, but the Badgers ate it right up, and the lead back up to 5.
Speaking of Furbringer, what a bump set to try to get it over to Franklin right at the apex of her jump so that Franklin can get a good swing off of that. Franklin gives her a point. Nice recognition from the grad to the freshman.
Now Furbringer back at the service line. And that's kind of what we talked about before. A lot of service aces, a lot of service errors as well. Not as many down the stretch, but no one's perfect.
No, but if you're taking 4 aces to an error, I certainly think you'll take that if you're Kelly Sheffield.
Bertolino now at the line. Franklin from the far side. Otane off the block. She'll get another crack at it. Smrek on the way down. And this time Otane threaded that one right between Schumacher and Franklin.
What a point from Tamara Otane. Gets that first swing. Does a great job recycling the ball right back to her. Gets another swing, gets Wisconsin out of sorts, and then finally gets a good look. That's one of those points where you're kind of recycling your own hits so that you can get the swing you want, and she did it there.
Bertolino, a missile. Wisconsin able to handle it well once again. Now Otane, perfect placement once again. And kind of similar story here, Dave. You talk about the Badgers getting that lead, but you blink, Georgia Tech cuts it to 2.
Yeah, and Tamara Otane now over 300 for the first time in this match. Back-to-back kills for her.
You called it, but it wasn't exactly a bold prediction either, just a steady Eddie. The last thing you wanted from Georgia Tech there as you start to clinch back momentum.
Yeah, Bertolino's second service error of the match so far. But she's been serving well so far, so I don't think you can be too mad for Georgia Tech.
Mogridge responds.
Yeah, Liv Mogridge is kind of taking a back seat in these last 2 sets, but a couple kills this set, up to 8 on the day, still hitting over 300. Having that third option for Georgia Tech is going to be big down the stretch. We know what their 2 outsides can do, but can they get production from one of their middles?
Yulia Orzel gets the kill, and you wonder if crowd a little bit farther away, maybe Otane would have dove in there, but probably a good call.
Yeah, I believe that one got the top of the block too, but just mishandled on the back line by the Yellow Jackets. Those are one of those points. Not a great swing from Orzel. Definitely one you want to get up if you're Georgia Tech.
Schumacher with a nice serve. Otane a little out of rhythm. That one off the net, out of bounds.
Yeah, Bertolino did not get a good pass on that serve from Schumacher. This is a rotation that, I mean, you really want to get out of if you're Georgia Tech. You have 2 outside hitters in the back row. Bertolino's a good passer, but certainly not exactly what you want back there.
Schumacher again. Otene off the block, out of bounds. Badgers don't like it. That felt pretty definitive.
Yeah, it certainly looked like a block from here, and a much better pass from Bertolino gets them in system. And Otene, her 3rd straight kill for the Yellow Jackets. It seemed like it was only a matter of time for her, and she is answering the call here, but give Bertolino a lot of credit on that point.
Franklin goes down to receive. Smrek goes up to finish.
I mean, what a pass from Sarah Franklin on that. That is a great serve from Liv Mogridge. But Franklin able to get down and get that, at least give Furbringer a chance to get a set off. And if you get a Smrek swing out of that, you're certainly happy. An out-of-system kill for the Badgers is exactly what they needed as they expand this lead to 4.
I'll tell you what, I don't know this definitively, but I think this got to be one of the bigger height differentials in a substitution is 5'5" Guchtikin checking in for 6'9" Anna Smrek. Georgia Tech pushing that one to the hardwood.
Yeah, so Ara's back in now for the Yellow Jackets at that setter position, rather. It's a really nice jump set on the ball. And then a nice kill from Mendez again. It's on that backside.
Otene with the serve. It's a good one, and somehow the Badgers come out of there unscathed. Orzel with a big hit. Finds the corner. Early whistle there, but
I believe it's going to be a net violation on Georgia Tech. It doesn't matter regardless was in, but I believe
it might have been that far
I believe
side.
It was Wiley in the middle, maybe, getting on that one. But
Orzel will head back to the line. Forces Otene to sprawl out. Bertolino adjusts. Robinson back up front. She's on the block now, teaming up with Franklin. Now the other side, and Georgia Tech's all over. They go off speed, and that Badger block was caught very off guard.
Yeah, great dig by Sofia Velez on that one. It's the one that kept that point alive, and the right decision to go off speed there, right over the hands of Charlie Furbringer. Bianca Bertolino is slowly making her way back into this game. She's slowly creeping that hitting percentage up. I know it's not anything to write home about right now, is still sitting in the 100s, but her output has been better since that first set, and Georgia Tech really is going to need that if they're going to win this match.
108 hit percentage, 11 kills, but 7 errors, as you talk about, David. That said, Georgia Tech creeping into set number 3 once again. You have to give credit to the Badgers, though, because it's about each run they've had to respond with another Georgia Tech run, but Georgia Tech not able to quite capture that lead.
Yeah, Kelly Sheffield's going to want to talk this over, though, because that's 2 points in a row. Georgia Tech has gone back to, and Bianca Bertolino, rather, has gone back to that same shot, you know, that little off-speed shot right over the outstretched arms of Furbringer. And I've talked about it a couple of times, just 5'11". As part of that 5'1" is you get, you know, the offense with the setter dump is included, but Charlie Furbringer does have to block in the front row, and Georgia Tech has done a good job taking advantage of that so far. So I would hope to see, you know, if I believe what Kelly Sheffield is probably telling them right now is Gushkin's going to probably shade in a little bit down that line to take away that off speed and just have, you know, the backside rotation over a little bit, maybe have the other middle, Devin Robinson, try to cut off that cut shot. And if they're going to beat you through the block, they're going to have to beat you through the block. But the name of the game is going to have to be getting a swing, getting Bertolino to get a swing off and try to get hands on it, keep the ball in the air. But these off speeds over the hands of Furbringer are really killing the Badgers right now.
You ever think about coaching volleyball, David?
No.
Really?
I do not know the ins and outs that much.
Are you sure? How can you say that after, like, going in depth, full 90 seconds, getting us through this time?
Listen,
I don't really know what I'm talking about.
All sports are about spacing, okay? It's a little tip from me to you. All sports are about spacing. How are you moving your players and how you can cut off, you know, angles. All sports are about angles too. Volleyball's no different.
You could say chess is about spacing. That's not a sport, though.
I do not consider chess a sport.
Oh, man.
It's a game.
I'm a big chess guy, but
there's no physical exertion in chess.
Oh.
Yeah, I'll speak for myself.
That's because you lose all the time.
I do. I'm not a good chess player.
Back to it. Every set has been competitive. Set number 3 looks to be no different. 7-seed Georgia Tech chipping away at 2-seed Wisconsin Badgers in the field house for likely the last time. Here's the Big Ten Player of the Year, Sarah Franklin. Cumbersome block, or bounce off the block. Schumacher, Fierbringer, Robinson.
I mean, what more can I say about Devin Robinson? I mean, that's just the perfect time to utilize the slide. Schumacher gets it off the ground right to Fierbringer. Nothing the Georgia Tech block can do on that one. I mean, Wiley did a decent job reacting to it, but because of the way that Schumacher was able to dig that ball, there was too many options for Fierbringer, and she chose the right one in Devin Robinson, and they got out of that rotation.
Just what the doctor ordered for Georgia Tech. Wisconsin a chance to pull away, instead down to 2. It's funny how each set goes to 25, except for set 5, obviously, but it's still, you reach these points even in like the middle, later end of it, where each point just feels so precious.
Well, and that's certainly one you don't want to lose from your serving sub as well. Dameron's second service error of the match.
Booth. Was that off the block or off the net?
I believe just off the net. Hard to see from up there. I honestly think it would have been sent down anyway. Bertolino did a great job reading that, and
might have been both. Give credit to Bertolino nonetheless, redirecting that shot. Booth will try again. This time she switches her strategy and finds pay dirt.
I mean, great job by Booth. Wisconsin goes back to the well on the Booth slide. It's not a play that's really worked for them a ton this year, but it's a good wherewithal from Booth. She's certainly athletic enough to run the slide. I mean, it was the Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year last year, and can cover a lot of space, and is slowly learning how to kind of tool that slide swing rather.
Fierbringer, another decent serve. That'll earn Smrek a chance.
Not much you can, more you can ask from Sofia Velez on that one. Able to lay out, dig that one up, but a one-set option from Emiliano right into the block of Booth and Smrek, and they send it down. Wisconsin holding on to that 3-point lead. That's kind of where you want to be. You get it into 2. That's a 2-point swing's easy to come by in volleyball, but you can keep it at 3. You're into the red zone now for Wisconsin. This is where you have to, really follow through. Playing your best volleyball in the last 5 points of every set is not something that Wisconsin has done. We'll take a look at these kills by set. Georgia Tech in that first set, 20 of their 25 points came off of kills. So Wisconsin, got a lot of their points came, or 27 points rather. I forgot it went to extra points. Wisconsin got kind of bailed out by a lot of attack errors, and Georgia Tech still came through. It's been much more even from here on out. Both teams have done a decent job at limiting errors in this match. 19 for the Yellow Jackets and 13 for the Badgers so far. And it's interesting. They're all coming from spots that you're not necessarily expecting. On the Wisconsin side, Franklin has 4 and Orschel has 4. Booth has 3. On the Georgia Tech side, Otene with 5. Bertolino with 8. So your best 2 hitters, a lot of errors early have cleaned it up. Certainly Otene has cleaned it up a ton since that first set. I believe she had 3 in that first set. She has kind of found her stride in this one. But with Charlie Fierbringer going back behind the line for Wisconsin, I think she's going to try to target Otene in the middle, maybe over to Velez on that left side. But this is a big chance for Wisconsin to go on a run here.
She opts for the middle.
Wow.
And Otene able to receive that serve. Not her best, but gets it back. A nice fire from the back row.
Yeah, not a great pass, but what a swing. I mean, I don't remember the last time I saw a ball fly at Carter Booth and it land on the Wisconsin side. As Bertolino with another error, her 3rd of the match and 2nd of this set. That's not what you want if you're Georgia Tech. Can't be giving away points, especially with Sarah Franklin going behind the line now.
Chance to cut it to 1, instead Wisconsin up 3. looking to make it 4 with Orzel out of bounds.
Yeah, not a great bump set from Lola Schumacher there. Kind of put Orzel in a tough position, floating towards that sideline. Definitely harder to get that swing off at that point. So error for error there, attack error, service error. Serving sub in now for the Yellow Jackets. So let's see if they can't go on a little bit of a run themselves. Wisconsin really love the side out here.
Lauren Sandin comes in and serves, and Booth just could not track that one down in the air. Badger lead down to just 1 in a pivotal set 3.
Looks like Booth's arguing something. I don't know what it would be. It's kind of an awkward set from Furbringer there. And it certainly just seemed like she poked it out with her left. Sheffield's gonna give her the time, and he's a guy that has full trust in his players. If they see a challengeable ball, he usually will go pick up the card, but doesn't look like anything here. Still not sure what Booth was arguing there, to be quite honest, but Georgia Tech within 1 now in a rotation they like.
Junior was clearly frustrated. Smrek's attack received well. Otene in the gap, but cut off. Smrek gets blocked, and we are tied up.
Just not a good serve, or set rather, from Charlie Furbringer there. I see the idea, but put it way too close to the net for Smrek, and Kelly Sheffield's gonna want to talk this over. Just a questionable decision by the freshman there. Now it's a race to 3.
And we talk about how this might be a little bit surprising, seeing a 7 seed heading into the fieldhouse, maybe the toughest atmosphere to play, if not college volleyball, maybe sports as a whole, and come in here and take care of business. But we've seen them do this before against Pitt at Fitzgerald Fieldhouse, both teams' last regular season game of the year. Georgia Tech gets wiped out in set number 1, 10-25, but they ultimately took 2 sets in that game, lost set 5, 15-17. And you look at how Pitt, they've lost 5 sets at home all year. To have 2 of them, that's good stuff.
It certainly is. I mean, Pitt, in my opinion, far and away the best team in the country, and just, you know, it's so well-rounded. To be able to go in there and take 2 sets is unbelievable. We're looking at the blocks per set right now. It's a very interesting contrast with that first set. Obviously, the 5-0. You know, no first set blocks in a set that you win is kind of an anomaly in volleyball, but Georgia Tech's done a much better job. I think you know, the pure blocks per set may be a little bit misleading for this Georgia Tech team that probably won't get a lot of, you know, pure blocks off against Wisconsin. It matters considerably more if you're even getting touches on the ball. And I've said that a couple of times tonight, because you definitely, the last thing you want to do to your back row is you know, allow these swings from a Smrek, a Franklin, a Booth, a Robinson to go through untouched, because even if they do dig it up, they're going to be, you know, scrambling out of position, probably not going to be a great pass. If you get block touches, you can get back in the system and get good swings out of it.
Back to it, tied at 22, and Smrek changes it, a badly needed point for Wisconsin.
And yet again, out of a timeout, tried to pick on Franklin in the back row to get her out of the hitting pattern. She puts a good pass on it. And then Furbringer, a nice set to Smrek, who just tools it off the top of the block and puts Wisconsin back up.
Schumacher hoping to get the Badgers to set point. But Georgia Tech has something to say about that. Deandra Pierce tying it at 23. It's going to be a set point for someone here.
Yeah, and give a lot of credit to Emiliano to get that set off. A nice little 1 set to Pierce in the middle. We have not seen a lot out of these Georgia Tech middles in the last couple of sets, but certainly going to be an option, as Wisconsin probably expecting them to go to those outsides late in this set.
Pivotal point goes to Wisconsin. Anna Smrek, she's been hunting for that shot where she unloads everything. She got it right there.
Anna Smrek has been playing her best volleyball today. Had a tough first set. Now back over 300, and this is what Wisconsin wants to do in these last closing points. A lot of swings for Smrek, and now with this rotation, expect maybe a back row for Franklin if Georgia Tech can get it back over.
Crowd on its feet. Set point. Got it!
And guess who? To end the set, but Charlie Furbringer has been picked on this entire set on the block, gets the solo to end the set. What a play by the freshman, getting up and getting the block. Crawford and Furbringer. I mean, wow. Georgia Tech got exactly what they wanted. Otene against Furbringer, and the freshman comes away with it. What a play.
And Schumacher hits the deck. Bewildered, Georgia Tech threw their best punch to Wisconsin, knocking at a victory.
Let's see if Georgia Tech can get off to a better start this set. They've started behind in each of the three so far today. Cut this Furbringer serving run as low as possible.
Georgia Tech has been a fantastic team to follow this year. Their back is now up against the wall. The one thing they have done is respond, and they're going to once again need to do that again as they fall in a hole to start this set.
It's a good wherewithal from Franklin, just ducking out of the way of that and letting it drift out of bounds. Otene tries to cut it down the line, or cross court rather, and just misses wide.
Furbringer, another serve. She's been lethal at the line thus far. That'll be a point for Georgia Tech. Maybe that was a net violation.
Yeah, it's a net violation on Franklin, I believe. Just a little bit too far in the net on the block, and yeah, very clearly got that. So, nice time to side out for Georgia Tech. Wiley behind the service line now. Let's see if they can start this set ahead.
Serve gets over. Booth on the slide. Perfectly placed.
Wow, Carter Booth has gotten way better at the slide over the course of this year. Obviously not something we were able to see last year from her. Furbringer puts it in the perfect spot, and she just toes the line perfectly on the sideline.
Awkward bump, but the set is pure. Liv Mogridge ties it up.
Yeah, Miliana put that one in the perfect spot for Mogridge to just go between the block. Booth not able to get over there in time, and not much you're gonna be able to do with Mogridge. Gets a clean swing on it with no block touch. I mean, that's just a tough position for a middle, because you get the ball in system, you have the option to go either way. You're obviously gonna shade towards Otene, and Mogridge has taken, her opportunities in stride so far today.
Big swing, but fantastic save. No panic for Sophia Belez there. Now Smrek will try. Off the block. Otene is denied. Wisconsin, block number 12.
Yeah, Wisconsin block has done a great job when Georgia Tech is out of system, recognizing that ball's probably going to go Otene's way, and specifically that Booth-Smrek duo, 6'7", 6'9". We talk about it all the time, but all that length at the net has been huge tonight for the Badgers.
Otene off speed, perfect decision. It felt like she made that adjustment on the fly, David.
Yeah, it's one of those adjustments you make, you look over and you don't see Carter Booth in the game. Cece Crawford is a great blocker in her own right. Does not have the length though. Campfire is really big on that side. Orgel not able to close, and just a perfect decision from Otene.
Otene now at the line. Franklin with the bump and the kill.
I mean, that is exactly the set you want from Charlie Furbringer there. A lot of options, disguised it perfectly, and Franklin came in from the back row one-on-one with, no real competition. The middle blocker not really in position, had to choose between two people, and that's just perfectly run offense from Wisconsin.
Oh, on the way up, Deandra Pierce, a devastating blow. There was no block in sight for the Badgers there.
Yeah, Pierce has been really, really great so far today. Her 6th kill of the match so far, and is not a player that's going to get a ton of swings. Her 7th kill rather, but she's made it, made worthwhile of her swing so far today. Oh, what a save.
Robinson again gets blocked. Badgers keep it alive. Franklin earns the kill. No panic for the Badgers.
I mean, give Bianca Bertolino a lot of credit for being able to get that ball, keeping it alive over by the table, but Wisconsin able to get it back on their side. Franklin able to keep those feet behind that 10-foot line, somehow still able to get that much power on the swing and gets the kill.
And I don't know if we've said her name, but Eloise Soares quietly has had a nice showing on the defensive end. Able to earn an assist there. And that's kind of what you want to see from your setters sometimes, right? You don't say their name too often. Sometimes it means they're just doing their job.
Yeah, and I mean, especially in this, you know, it has not been the main setter tonight, but comes in with a little bit more height. You know, 5'11 versus 5'7. It certainly helps on you know, points where you figure you're going to be blocking, and has done a great job on the defensive end. You're right, Vince, and that's been needed as Georgia Tech has done a great job on their floor defense tonight, has been great. It's more so when you do get that dig, can you get a quality swing out of it? And they've done that so far in set 3. They did it really well in set 1. Let's see if they can keep doing it. Get the ball to your playmakers.
Devin Robinson is deadly efficient this evening.
I mean, she is just terminal on that slide. We've seen her run it now 3 times in the last 3 points, rather. You know, the last 2 offensive points that Wisconsin has had. They've run it 3 times. It got stuffed twice, and now you run it again. And she's so good at trying to find, you know, different shots out of it. A lot of people go for the straight, you know, swing down. That time she tries to tool it off of the back, you know, back line, is able to get a touch. Gushkin with a service error there.
Devin Robinson checks out, and to your point, service error for the Badgers. Just their 4th on the game, 7 for Georgia Tech.
Yeah, but not errors you want to see, you know, not the people you want to see having errors. Your 2 serving specialists in Damro and Gushkin both have 2.
Sarah Franklin. It has not been her best performance, but in set number 4, you got to think that she's going to look to take over.
I mean, face the triple block there on that out-of-system swing and puts a swing down that there are very few people in the country that can make that cut shot that tight to the net. A lot of people let it drift, you know, further down where the back row defender can dig it up, but Franklin just cuts it right across the court. Otane able to get it back there. Georgia Tech, when they've been in system, they've been great at you know, choosing the right hitters to go to. The problem so far today is they just have not been in system that much. But that's a very welcome sign on the serve receive.
Wiley back at the service line, catches Orzol with a awkward return. Otene looks to take advantage, and a misfire out of bounds into the Badger bench.
That's a bad break for Georgia Tech. You get the free ball on the serve after the missed pass from Orzol. You make the right decision as a setter, and Otene just not able to get a good swing on it. That's a unusual error for someone of her caliber.
The set, and Otene gets it through the block, but Franklin with a chance. Otene pushing it over again. The Badgers tee up Booth, pushed over the top. Looked like Booth might have hit that twice in a row. We play on off the block. Fierbringer reaches out. Orzol off the block, out of bounds.
Give Anna Spreck her 2nd assist of the night. What a set. 6'9", being able to set that all the way across court. But give Velez a lot of credit on the other end. I mean, her floor defense has been amazing for the Yellow Jackets to even keep that point alive. Kind of off platform is a word for it, but I don't even think that gives credit. A one arm kind of diving behind her dig on the backside kept that point alive for Georgia Tech. But give Anna Smerk a lot of credit. You're seeing a lot more players allowed to overhand set with the double touch rule gone on that 2nd ball. So, hey, give Anna Spreck 2 kills, but a good response for Georgia Tech right there.
Liv Mogridge quietly has been one of the more efficient players for Georgia Tech. 345 hit percentage, 11 kills, 1 error on 29 swings. Smack pushes it down. Otenez almost parallel with the net, and we are tied.
Yeah, and you mentioned the Mogridge stat line. The most important part of that is just the 1 error. I mean, even if you're not converting kills on most of your swings. The fact that you're getting the ball over and giving your off, that is the most important part, that you're just getting the ball in play, giving your team a chance to respond and make a play on it.
Carter Booth unloads. Velez could not get a clean angle off the hit. And that's out of bounds.
That's one that Velez is going to want back. Kind of an awkward swing from Carter Booth, but ball finds the arms of the libero, not able to get it up, but a really strong swing from Booth on kind of an awkward set.
Nice receive from Velez. And that's the result. Otene ties it up at 10 again.
Yeah, give Velez a lot of credit. Ever since that, that second set where she was really starting to get picked on in the serve receive, has tightened up a lot back there and done a good job getting the Yellow Jackets in the system. And Otene has been really great this set so far, but we kind of figured that she'd get it going once they got in the system a little bit more.
Orzol off the block. Speaking of blocks, Smrek and Crawford teaming up.
Yeah, that's one of those points. There was only really one option for Suarez to go there, and just so happened to be right into the arms of Anna Smrek. Sage Dammer will take her place behind the service line, as has 2 errors in this match for the serving specialist. Would like to see her just get one over if you're Wisconsin.
Gotta give credit to the Badgers as well. They have a lot of physicality on that block, but they recognize that was the only option on that far side. That being said, Georgia Tech will tie it again, this time at 11 by going right through that aforementioned block.
Yeah, Bertolino gets a good swing on it, but once again, it comes down to the passing, and the passing was good there. I believe it might have even been Wiley in the back. Was able to get a pass off on that. And
Robinson, the slide again. If it's not broke, don't fix it.
Yep, but the only way that works, once again, a good pass on the backside from Damro, I believe. It gets it right to Furbringer, and she knows, where to go with it.
7 kills on 13 swings for Devin Robinson. Now a joust pushed over. That'll go to the Badgers.
Not exactly sure. Maybe a lift called on that. I think it might have also hit the antenna.
Yep.
So that's why it's going to be a point for Wisconsin, but not a good pass from Otene is the reason that started.
Now Orzol at the line. Received by Otene. Block keeps going to work. And Georgia Tech is denied once again.
I mean, what a job from Devin Robinson being able to go, gets the block on one side, closes all the way to the other side, and gets a partial with Sarah Franklin on that block. And that's a huge point from Wisconsin to, get this to that 3-point lead.
Skips over for Orzol. And that'll hit hardwood. It feels like Wisconsin has had all the highlights, but Georgia Tech, they've hung around any way they can.
Yeah, Mania's getting a good swing on that. Good tool the middle there, and it's the right sides have not really been there since the first set when Mogridge was kind of having her moment. Could see Georgia Tech maybe try to incorporate some of them in the middle of this set.
There's the slide again. This time Georgia Tech's on it. Off speed, and Robinson tried to touch it on the way down, caught her teammates off guard.
It's nice use of the off spin from Otene there, or from Bertolino, never mind, excuse me. But that's a tough one for Wisconsin. Robinson, it's the right idea to try to get a touch on that. Just Damro didn't think she'd be able to.
Franklin with the setter dump. Georgia Tech's on it, another off speed. Damrow swoops in. Franklin pushed over, that's a double hit. Point Wisconsin.
I mean, that's just another awkward point that's going to go the way of the Badgers. I feel like those have kind of been split between the two teams, and Franklin just does a good job getting anything on that. And Wisconsin will take another 2-point lead.
Georgia Tech looking to extend their season. They'll have a chance to do that in set number 4.
Well, Vince, this tournament means a lot to these players, but one of the things Associate Head Coach Gary White tries to emphasize is their program philosophy. They like to use the phrase, bring it. And they only give out 2 awards at the end of the season. One goes to the most improved player because they constantly are encouraging improvement in all aspects of life. But the other is their Bring It Award. It goes to someone who embraces obstacles and excels through them in the weight room, classroom, in leadership, or straight up on the court. Coach White said someone who just has that mentality. Vince?
Thanks, Ariel.
An interesting move from Kelly Sheffield, going with Crawford into serve now, trying to tighten up that rotation a little bit in this very important 4th set.
That will go to Georgia Tech. I believe Logan Wiley might have caught a finger.
They called a net violation on the far side. I believe it was Furbringer. Bertolino is going to take her place behind the service line again with that topspin serve, but passed by Schumacher well, and it ends in a slide.
Regardless of who it's been, the slide has been devastating. And Carter Booth, a little bit of a wave at the end. Dave, you think she was showing something there, looking at the opposing bench?
I mean, this is the best that the slide to Booth has looked all year, and she has just been terminal on those chances. 10 kills on the day for Carter Booth.
And we know that Booth is a player who definitely plays with a chip on her shoulder. Getting into it with the crowd, and what a response from Georgia Tech.
Yeah, what a response indeed. Logan Wiley able to come up and make a block on that. Their 6th of the game in comparison to Wisconsin's 13. The Georgia Tech block has kind of come alive in these last couple of sets, and you give that one a solo for Logan Wiley. And middle to middle responding.
Lauren Sandin looking to equalize set number 4 with her season hanging in the balance. Smrek cannot time it up. She'll get another try. It's another block. Oh, awkward redirection, and it just barely does not get over. A valiant effort from Georgia Tech, but Wisconsin able to get that lead up to 2.
Yeah, Luana Emiliano is the one that almost got that one over for the Yellow Jackets. Bertolino made a great effort. Oh, Emiliano, that was close. That was close, but it's a good response right back from Wisconsin.
And another response from the Yellow Jackets. Back and forth we go.
Liv Mogridge, her 12th kill of the evening, is creeping that hitting percentage back up. We mentioned earlier was in the 600s in the first set, dropped over the second and third, and now we're at 367 as she takes her place behind the service line.
Another devastating service error for Georgia Tech. It's something that both these teams have struggled with. You got to say it's been Georgia Tech. It feels like that their service errors have came at very inopportune times.
Yeah, the 8th of the match so far for Georgia Tech. Obviously doing some simple math, that's about 2%, but I think you're right, Vince. That number seems larger because they've come at times where maybe not to cut leads, but it's been to try to go on runs of their own, just not been at the right time, and usually this is how it's gone following those service errors. Another Anna Smrek kill.
Now the Badgers just 6 points away from heading to the Sweet 16. I think that Georgia Tech knows that they call timeout, and it's a big one.
Yeah, Wisconsin goes on a little run of their own. You want to stop the bleeding here. It's up to that, kind of crucial 3-point number.
We'll hear from Ariel on the sideline once again. Ariel, what you got for us?
Well, guys, teams face a lot of pressure when tournament starts, especially when they're playing in a big venue like the Fieldhouse. But head coach Michelle Collier told me that they have played in front of big crowds in their favor and not. She said every team has faced adversity in their environment. The preseason and conference schedule prepares you for that as you're playing some of the top teams in the country. We've had to deal with all different kinds of situations. that we just try to normalize it, she says. It is just another place where people love volleyball and they respect the game. Vince?
Thanks, Ariel. Yeah, it's an interesting point with these crowd sizes. We know that you play in the ACC, you're going to be in some very luxurious arenas, but I believe their only match where they played in front of more than 3,000 people in the stadium was at Stanford. Field house capacity, 7,540. I don't see too many empty seats here.
No, certainly not. But you mentioned it, Vince. Playing in the ACC, you get your fair share of rambunctious arenas themselves. Obviously, you go to Pitt. They went to Louisville. They went to Stanford. They played in the BYU Invitational. You know, so no strangers to playing in these types of environments. But I would be hard pressed. I think the debate is really between here in Nebraska. You choose whatever side of that you want. These are probably the two hardest places to play in the sport. They've handled the pressure well, though, for the most part.
Hey, good use of rambunctious, David.
It's one of my favorites.
That was some terminal word choice there. Orzel the swing. And it's down to 2 once more.
Yeah, I mean, that's just a good job on the right side. Otene, we've not really seen her over there today, or at least not get a lot of swings from the right side, but does, you know, the only thing she can really do and tools the block well.
Crawford on the way up, throws it down.
And we talk about the Georgia Tech middles at the start of this match, and we're moving to the Wisconsin middles at the end. Devin Robinson has been great. Carter Booth has come along on the slide, and then CeCe Crawford getting in on the action with her first kill of the night.
Redshirt freshman Sage Damerow to serve it again. And it's a service error. This time it's the Badgers in that inopportune moment.
Yeah, Damerow's third of the evening. I mean, that's just, it's not what you want to see out of your, you know, kind of the person you're bringing in as a serving specialist. Between the two of them, her and Gulce Gushikin, 5 service errors between the two. So just giving away points, not a good recipe for success.
Robinson off that slide. Takes an impressive save, but Georgia Tech has got it, and they cut it to 1. Right as it looked like the Badgers were going to finally pull away in a set, Georgia Tech says not so fast.
Yeah, but you know, one of these times Furrbringer's going to have to not go to the slide. That's, I believe, the 5th time in a row that Robinson's run the slide, and she said it. Georgia Tech has made the adjustment. They've done a good job. They made the adjustment. They know when Robinson's in. That's what they're looking for. Furrbringer's going to have to maybe try to go somewhere else, use a little bit of misdirection, not set the slide every time.
Right on cue, the slide again. Robinson has to tap it over, and as a result, we are tied up.
It's almost as if I spoke it into existence, Vince. It's a good pass off of the serve, but I think everybody on that Georgia Tech side knew that ball was going to go to Devin Robinson, and nothing really Robinson could do with that set. I mean, the crowd was there. So I believe Kelly Sheffield probably going to say something about it in this huddle. The right time to take a timeout. Georgia Tech going on a nice little 3-0 scoring run.
And it's worth mentioning that Georgia Tech, they finished 6th in the ACC. That says we've touched on just how brilliant the ACC is, especially with that addition of Stanford. So you can finish darn near as long as you're in that upper third and you're a legitimate team. I'll tell you, 12-8 in conference, 21-9 on the whole. Yeah, Georgia Tech is a 7 seed, but they are more than capable of competing against the best, and they are proving it once again.
You look at that conference, that's 3 1 seeds and a 2 seed, or sorry, rather 2 1 seeds and 2 2 seeds, with Pitt Louisville at 1 and Stanford and SMU 2 seeds in their own right, and then Florida State's a tournament team, Miami's a tournament team,
NC State as well.
NC State's a tournament team. There's a lot of tournament, a lot of great volleyball in that. And then if you look at, the only other conference to have the other 2 1 seeds, that's the Big Ten. You get 2 1 seeds in Penn State, Nebraska, a 2 seed in Wisconsin, 4 seed in Purdue and Oregon. So these are the 2 best, I think, without a doubt, the 2 best conferences in volleyball. And just a lot of talent. This is a Georgia Tech team, you're right, Vince. They are a 7 seed, but they're used to playing this talent. You see some 7 seeds come into these environments. You play in a lesser conference, you come to these environments, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is, whatever, how many thousand people have never played like this before. They've played these teams, they know what they're doing here.
Robinson off the slide again. It has been a love-hate relationship with that move in particular. And they go right back to it. It's almost like a change-up at that point. You run that many times.
Yeah, that's maybe the reverse psychology. Kelly Sheffield knows better than me. Run it up for Robinson again, and works that time. A much-needed side out for the Badgers.
Georgia Tech has not led in this set, and the deficit grows.
Devin Robinson just comes and makes winning plays as Georgia Tech's going to need a timeout. Robinson, Furbringer, get the block on the other side after coming out of the timeout and getting a kill herself. I mean, this is what you want out of your veterans. Devin Robinson has come in and put together an amazing match. 8 kills on 17 swings, 3 blocks. I mean, what more can you ask from Devin Robinson?
Well, it's kind of what we touched on before, is that Robinson has dealt with injuries this year, has worn a brace, has worn a cast at times. Not exactly, but one of those light ones that they wear. I don't want to exaggerate an injury, but it's clear that if you're Coach Sheffield, we said before that you want to get your team, you want to win that Big Ten house here. There's a lot of banners in this building. They have a record of doing it before. But the next best thing, as they kind of fell behind to Nebraska, who ultimately claimed that title, is just get yourself in a spot where you're playing your best volleyball going. I think that's especially the case right now for Devin Robinson, who, without her, with how close some of these sets have been, who knows what it looked like?
But she knows how to win. She was on that 21 national championship team. She's been to the Final Four numerous times, and is just a overall smart player who seems to always make the right play. Is never going to put the team in an uncomfortable position. Does not really, has the fewest errors on the team for someone that gets the amount of swings that she does. Leads the team in hitting percentage. Is just a really good force for this team, both on the block and on the offensive side as well, and showing her value in this match. And now Wisconsin 3 points away behind the service line, and Julia Orschel, who is kind of a very hot and cold server, but has been statistically the best server on this team for the entirety of this season. Who you want? It's a smaller front row. Let's see if they can go on a run and close this one out.
The Yellow Jackets have played well, but there are no moral victories. And they cut it to 1 just like that.
Yeah, that's a good job by Bertolino on that far side. Once again, going after Furbringer on the block. Furbringer was over there in time, but Bertolino did the right thing, saw that Furbringer was right on that line, hit it off that outside hand, and got Georgia Tech the point.
Luana Emiliano to serve. Orzel can't receive it. Furbringer gets a nice touch on it. And now it's Franklin for the tie. Franklin's got it again. Now they'll try Robinson high in the air. No sweat for the Yellow Jackets. Franklin.
Wow. What a point from both sides. Great floor defense. Wisconsin was in system essentially that entire point, but that Georgia floor defense, Sophia Velez, another great dig. But once again, if you give this Wisconsin team enough opportunities in system, that time Robinson went on the slide, Furbringer elects for Franklin, and she was terminal.
Badgers threatening set point. Georgia Tech has been responding all game, but they need that one more big push. Franklin again. Blocked. Set point Badgers.
Sarah Franklin.
Match point.
When you go in these crucial parts of his matches, crucial parts of sets, who do you go to but the 2-time reigning Big Ten Player of the Year? It's Sarah Franklin, and the Badgers 1 point away from the Sweet 16. Sarah Franklin, 3 swings, 3 kills. What an end to an amazing match here at the Fieldhouse, Vince.
Georgia Tech played a heck of a game. They ambushed the Badgers, got set 1, stuck around in set 4, but it was not quite enough, and the Badgers are headed to the Sweet 16 once again.